Oh, satu.
It is 9:39. I'll give it another minute before we start the meeting because 10 minutes is just nice to start. So again, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning everyone.
Morning.
Tak kuat, belakang sana tak dengar. Good morning. Cantik sangat. Kopi Cik Haris mana? Ambil gambar dulu siap-siap. Ya, ambil gambar Cik Haris. Okay kan? So thank you so much everyone. It is very exciting to see all of you here. Last year for the AGM we had 43 attendees. As per the requirement of our constitution, 30 makes the quorum, so I wish to call the meeting to order. We have 70 who has registered. These are all qualified members. So officially the AGM has started. So we'll start with some housekeeping first. Serious. Sekejap, serious sangat. So housekeeping as usual, let's have a very good conversation, open conversation, constructive conversation over the topics that we'll be discussing. And like last year, the flow of the meeting was very good because the house rules were very well kept intact. Which one of it is when we want to discuss things outside of the flow of the agenda, we will leave it to other matters. Then we will have a bit more time to discuss and elaborate rather than going through it between the minutes of meeting and the other presentations. So we can park that and we'll deliberate and discuss a lot more during the other matters in the section. Also because this time around we have the election for the post of President and Honorary Secretary 1. So there's a requirement for us in the spirit of good governance and transparency, we wish to have a returning officer to run the whole election process in best practices in a manner. So with that, if okay, we can get some nomination. Oh, no, that's quite quick. Anything, Darul?
Who else are more qualified than returning officer?
Boleh bagi nama yang pencalon dan yang mencalon.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Aklum, 791D Company. Returning officer you're looking for.
Yeah. You know.
Opichua, please. Is it okay? I propose Opichua to be the returning officer. Thank you.
Seconder, sir, can I get your pangkat nama, sir?
Membership
LMM 656.
656.
LMM double M.
LMM 656, sir. Can we accept this or is there any other proposal for the returning officer? Ada? Tak ada? Any objection? Yes, sir.
Can confirm that you know how to come.
Let's try, sir. Let's try. Betul kan? Betul lah, sir. Returning officer tak payah kira lah. Okay lah, so that qualifies him because he cannot come. Okay, if there's no any of the objection, can we just accept that Opichua will be the returning officer for the election process later? Okay, so before we start with the first agenda of the meeting, which is the opening remarks by the president, Opichua, if you can just brief us how we will run the election meeting, and then we'll take it on with the agenda of the meeting. Sir, this is not for you to sing, sir. Please, just briefing.
I promise not to hold the mic more than 10 minutes. Music, please. Good morning, fellow office. Thank you for your faith in me to be a returning officer. Dalam bahasa Melayu dia panggil apa? Pegawai kembali ya?
Pegawai pengurus.
Oh, pegawai. Okay. First and foremost, I feel a bit jealous, you know. When I was standing for Home Sec 1 for 3 times last time, no contest.
Alamak.
Tak ada chance nak jadi popular. Anyway, joke aside. This morning, we're going to have this election as Home Sec 1 has mentioned for the post of president and the post of Home Sec 1. The rules are pretty simple. When you register just now, you would have already received this Bora Kuning and Bora Hijau. Okay? Right. And instructions are pretty clear, right? So any OP yang still cannot understand, pergilah change balik kat luar. You have to, if you look at the form, you have these 2 boxes where you put across. Preferably across, okay? Cross means you vote for him lah. Sorry, what's your name again? Make sure the cross is within the box lah, okay? Don't draw aeroplane or please. Then after you've done that, you pick the candidate of your choice. Just cross it. Then you fold like that lah. So that locally, you want to see, just drop the ballot box. Oh, ballot box. Okay. Since we are OPA, we always practice transparency dan integrity, right? Ketulusan dan integrity. So now, I'm not going to do a magic show. I just want to open the box. Make sure that, make sure that it's empty. Oh, ada perempuan dalam. Make sure that it's completely empty. Okay? Pusing. Tengok belakang juga lah. Belakang, tutup lah. Kita bukan dari korek yang lain kan. Oh dia, anak risau. So, after this, the GM, Obioma, will close it and lock it, and this box will be placed outside there, near the registration table. Okay? Okay, you ready now? So, everybody happy, huh? Kosong, huh? Lock sekarang.
Kunci sama pegang.
Kunci, dia pegang.
Tak boleh sir. You pegang, dia tanya apa?
Oh, I pegang. Okay. I pegang lepas tu, I balik, tak boleh buka. Macam ni lah, famous sikit kan, masih apa besok. Okay, now you go to the outside. Okay, to expedite the process of voting, we have decided that just like I think last year or year before, that's what I mentioned, you can start voting anytime. The moment I pass the mic back to Hong Sek 1, you can start voting. And the voting shall close at 11 o'clock AM sharp. Yang badan itu 1100 hours lah, betul kan? Okay? If you put your ballot in 11:01, sudah tak boleh dah.
50.
Okay? So everybody clear about the voting process? Any question? Yeah.
So there is no voting for the committee members, yeah?
No. Voting committee members ada.
Because there are 6.
Yeah, so later in the slides, during the election, I will share with you. We received 6 nominations, but one withdrew last minute. So there's only 5 nominees now for the committee members, and there's only 5 vacancies. Yeah.
So usually when that happens, no voting lah. Just like my case those days lah. Semua cukup ngam-ngam. I don't know by design or what. So anyway, okay, if there's no further questions, we're going to start the meeting proper. Ada lagi? Yes sir.
minta maaf.
Yeah.
There are a number of very, very senior people here, and we do not know the
Candidate.
candidate. Can we
Oh, yeah,
introduce
okay.
to us at least?
I shall announce, for the post of president, we have candidate number 1, O.P. Magayam, the incumbent,
That one kenal lah.
and candidate number 2, O.P. Aberumune. Where are you? Yeah. Thank you.
Take 20.
And for the post of honorary secretary 1, we have candidate number 1, O.P. Khairul Rizwan bin Muhammad Ibrahim. And candidate number 2, O.P. Farooq bin Abdul Khalid. Okay, semua dah kenal kan? Okay. So, ada lagi question? Kalau tak ada, so let's have a clean and fair election. Please vote wisely, and may the best man win. Okay? Thank you very much. Morning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kichwa, for telling us that you don't quite know how to count, but I think that is an advantage to you to ensure transparency. Sir. So without further ado, the most awaited event to kick off our AGM. Sir, as always, I will trouble you. I know you still doing your notes, but it's time for your opening remarks, sir, please.
I'm glad you interrupt. Okay.
Yes, sir, that's right. Okay, sir.
Assalamualaikum. Invite everyone to stand a minute of silence for peace of pass away. And for the Muslims to Sedekah Al-Fatiha, please. Al-Fatiha.
Thank you, Mr. for reminding us.
May I also suggest next time project about this all of these
Selamat datang, salam sejahtera, and welcome to Bangunan OPA. Greetings to my fellow past president, past presidents of OPA, our dear Commandant, Brigadier General O.P. Saiful Azwa, who is also here. Please put your hands together for my fellow EXCO members and previous EXCO members juga, budak-budak boy, OPs, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the EXCO, I welcome all of you to the 55th AGM of OPA. Thank you for all your attendance. This has been one of the biggest, presence of OPs attending this particular AGM. Maybe it's to see whether Trump versus Joe Biden here. And the way it's run is also incredibly professional. Thanks to O.P. Chua, who's got many years of experience in being the returning officer. I'm going to try to keep my speech short, but I would urge you to read the report, which is quite comprehensive. There's a president's message here. I never did do this because there's a contender in my position. I just like to lay down the thought what has been done in the relatively short 23 months that I was in office. I was voted in, I think, 3rd September. So going back a little bit historically, I think some 15 years ago, some younger OPs came and see me and said, would I stand for president? I was very busy. I was still, I think, the managing director of Sunrise. I was also the senior VP of Global Institution, which I ultimately became the president. We have slightly more membership than the current OPA, which is about just over 4,300, I think. I was running an institute of 50,000 worldwide. I was traveling all over the place. So I said, I'm too busy, but if there were no anybody standing for the presidency, then I would step in and I just have to burn the midnight oil, right? Maybe 25 hours work within the 24-hour clock. Thankfully, there was submission in the last minute. I asked to be withdrawn. The rest is history. I think 2 presidents later, I was asked to stand again, and it's the same policy. I said, well, if there's no one who thinks they're capable and really want to give back, do give them the priority. I'm not sure whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. I became the president because I was the only contender. And at that time, I will tell you, I was investigative chairman, giving my time pro bono to the government, promoting Kuala Lumpur as an investment destination. I was the senior independent director of Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, and also chairman of Duty Free, also Sama-Sama Hotel at the same time. I was also the senior independent director of Paramount Corporation, also of CMS Berhad, also Sunway, plus also Standard Chartered Bank, Malaysia Berhad, and Standard Chartered Bank Sadiq. So they were wondering, asking me, how come I become a Sadiq? Director. I said, I know how to recite the Al-Fatiha. And that was it. But Bank Negara believed it, and I said, I think that was 9 years. And 4 years ago, 2022, I stepped down from everything because we can never serve for 9 years. And then this position became vacant. That's how I came involved. My policy, what I do, and in terms of making sure I don't warm the seat, is 4 probably pillars. Most people say is people, or the other way around maybe, planet, people, and profit. But there's a 4th one which all of us probably appreciate, that's providence. It's being grateful. So in all the messaging, where there was a previous annual dinner and my message, I spoke about the 5G, not the telephone, please have the phones off. We're talking about gratitude, giving, governance, galvanize, and growth. And for me, this is part of my giving back. And when I took the position, I realized all the organizations that was involved in particular NGO, the issue is always a lack of funds. To do what you want to do, you need money. So most of the people in the industry, particularly real estate, knows me as been 4 years as president of Real Estate Housing Developers Association. It's got about 1,350 members. When I go to Putrajaya to see the ministers and all that, they say you got 1,300 members. This is only corporate companies can be members. If they employ 100 person, that's 13,500. That's direct labor. The influence is more than that. It's 7 to 8 million because that's the number of people that's employed in the industry. And then they sit up and listen because these are all stakeholders. So, and I understand the way it runs the place, you need money. Everyone needs money. And it's not the business for the exco, the president to spend their valuable time raising money. Hopefully they're able to give money and give it properly. So my job coming to become president is that's the first thing I try to do. The work is wonderfully done by my exco here, and that's why I have a lot of time for them. They are the ones who are burning the midnight oil. This whole week, they've been here and not with their wife. I know, when they call me, I go to nasi kandar kayu in SS2, and having a cup of coffee just to see how the thing is run. It's a lot of work. It's incredible. Please put your hands together. Thank you. And my problem was doing what they do. at the risk of having a divorce, you look at their age, okay? They're not ready for double teaching number two, but the amount of time they spend on this work, and they have full-time jobs, probably growing up in the career. Not only a daytime job that takes so much time, and spending a lot of time in OPA for whom? Is it for themselves? There's hardly any benefit from them. It's for all of you here. And that's the sort of effort they put in. They also have growing family. Do you think they don't desire their kids go into good universities, perfect overseas, or at least go into local universities? I would tell you, I've been through that. Fear always comes in. And for them to take this, that sort of sacrifice, it's worth all my effort to try and help this mission. Now, so how do I focus on this? I realize begging or asking for money is not easy. Because today, with so much dishonesty, integrity problem out there, people are very worried about giving away money. A lot of us would like to give. But who do we give to? How do we give? And how do we manage this fund is the most important thing. I know in my presidency, there were people saying, well, what about the previous accounts and so on and so forth. I put all that into heart. I can do only what I can do. I can't reverse decisions that we made years ago by the AGM, by also the registrar of society. A lot of things that I need to do, the OP's desire, that requires me to engage RMC. Now, who are we to instruct, let's say, to tell what our authorities in MINDEF and in particular RMC how and what they should do? We can only influence and rationalize, and it's up to them to make that final decision. Do we think we are cleverer than them? I will tell you now, no matter whether you're a straight A student now, last year, or 10 years, 20 years, the world has moved on. If no AI, we are all what we call dinosaurs. And we work very well with our commander. He has a listening ear, but we must also respect his chair. You cannot knock his door and say, I want to come and see you. I remember those days, the nearest we get to a commandant site or get to know him is either through their daughter or maybe through the wife. That's the nearest we dare to touch. So I really appreciate, Commandant and of course, Director of Training, Lieutenant Rashidi, for actually giving us airtime. You don't really need to. They're the guys who put you into a extra drill or put you into the lockup in the MP's guard room. For them to listen to us just because they're junior, they are really come down from their position. Nothing less than a one-star general. Commando has got all the power. So I really appreciate the time I spent with both of you. Please put your hands together for our Commando. So please don't take things for granted. You have a position in life. You know what you can do, what you can do. You can step a little bit towards the side, but don't overstep what within your authority or within your power. So I think the performance of the committee over the 2 years is all for you to see. Like all positions in the union, it takes you a little bit of time to get to know the organization better, get to know what the stakeholders expect. It's a bit like a pilot, you still need to run rate before you take off. So I think the next 2 years will be take off time, but I think there's enough fundamentals for the exco or whichever exco to take over. So I believe as a leader, we delegate. You can't do everything, you get enough. So the first thing I did was to set up 5 subcommittees. Forgive me if I'm repeating. The subcommittees are as follows. Education Standard Subcommittee. We're talking about our standards slipping. Not as good as those days when we are average of 6, 7, 8. Today the curriculum is very different. I think someone on my table in the government is saying the OP that went to West Point, Major General Rizal Arif. He said, when he took up the grandson's primary school near Hope, he gave up. He said he didn't know what it was all about. So education has moved on. So education subcommittee is to really review and see whether we can do better in terms of curriculum, also in terms of tenure in voice wing, or RFC. Second is the Sports Excellence Subcommittee. Again, we were saying our standard. Those is Malay Mail, I remember. Headline screaming, RMC champion of KL, champion of Selangor, so on and so forth. Versus KL wasn't even formed. So people are saying it's slipping. I think that's fairly easier to deal with because you need sports. You don't need like education to improve the standard in probably 2, 3, 4 years. Okay, so that is the Sports Excellence Committee. Welfare Subcommittee. We know we have this organization called Ikatan. I think that was fairly ad hoc. One of the things that was done was actually to rescue the flood victims in Kelantan. If you look at our asset, we still got some money there, some valuation there, and that's because we have a boat park somewhere in Pursuit and in Kuala Krai. So the next what we call flood, do volunteer because some of these people actually go up there on their own expense, mobilize the Angkatan Tentera there to help the flood victims. Again, they needed money. So welfare subcommittees look at what these objects are, and that subcommittee is also there to raise money. The next is the Building and Education Fund subcommittee. We could do more. We could do more to help OPs, right? Our biggest achievement, of course, is to help OPs who freshly graduate from RMC pay their enrollment fee. Usually it's about 2,000 ringgit. I think on average, maybe we pay 20 to 30 students to help them enroll so that they can continue their university education. Otherwise, they're balik kampung and tanam ubi because the parents are just too poor even to pay that. Another committee is the Constitution Review Subcommittee because I find the Constitution English a little bit poor, but also imagine this is called the EXCO, and actual committee is now called subcommittee. I think we're not giving them the due recognition that they are actually a committee, not a subcommittee. So that's work in progress. In fact, that's done the work already. Maybe the next AGM will table the amendments, and that was led by our past president, Dato' Bahar. The sixth, which is not a subcommittee, is the Finance, Accounting and Tax Special Task Force. Because there was complaint that the previous 7 years when the account was not properly done, tax exemption issues and all that. And I've gone through the report. I will not make the judgment. As a corporate man, I do know you want to pay your tax, tax will take it, right? But if you think there is a marginal issue, you don't need to pay. You set aside, you make a provision, and you submit your accounts. You have to submit annually anyway, right? So when I look back as a corporate man, and I'm not going to blame my past presidents. Number one, all accounts are signed off by a certified, approved, independent accountant. And last year is still the same. Number two, the previous committee had engaged Ernst & Young, the tax partner, to do a report, and she also happens to be the president of the Malaysian Tax Institute, and she has given an opinion that it's up to really the committee. There's no clear cut that you have to pay. You have to declare and pay, not really pay, consider the operational account as not a tax waiver. They wanted, and as far as I know, the Inland Revenue wants the account to be submitted as a consolidated account. So here it's in compliance, it's a consolidated account. So if I'm a listed company, Sunrise, we have 100 subsidiaries, all they're interested is to look at my group account. How you consolidate is up to you. Now the fact that it's consolidated, we look at that, and we say this is tax waiver within that query, suggests to me that, the recommendation done by the professionals are the correct ones, right? And I, as the president, and my exco here, is not going to reverse the decision that's made by much higher up independent people. Who are we? If you want to do that, I have to convene an EGM, and all of you have to make a decision to reverse it. And that's, we're stirring up a real, this next. So, I'm not the one carrying the last baton. My past presidents have made the same decision and make the same judgment. Okay, so fair awareness, that's also the finding of the Finance, Accounting and Tax Special Task Force comprising of very senior internal auditors and independent Big Four accountants. So I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to override what they have recommended. Well, I will just end this address very quickly. It cannot be a campaign address. I didn't ask to be here. It's really up to the members here to decide. Who the next president, or secretary one, and exco members shall be. I want to stay more than 2 years. I can tell you better things to do. But my heart and soul really is to all my exco members here. I see the way they work, different pace of course, the way they contribute their time is I make sure that I can work with, that I can support, to deliver my agenda. And the money is placed in the accounts, right? Hopefully we properly managed. And for that, there's another committee yourself and the oversight of how that money is being managed. Because I cannot guarantee after I leave that people will say, yeah, I can trust you with money. Okay? So I just want to end by thanking everyone for your strong presence here. That shows you're interested in OPA. I know some of you even stopped halfway, golf just to come here. Not sure whether to vote me for me or against me, doesn't really matter. I want to once again thank you to my incredible Vice President, Jojo, OP Zolibri, I don't know if she's best. He's my key liaison RMC, and he's got a heart for OPs, empathy, the PPs. He's got his own business doing molding. I think he spent more time with OP activities than his own activity. And I always ask him, who is running your factory? Kalam in China, I know, we have a factory in China. It's always efficiently run because the cheapest way to find a good person to run a Chinese factory is to marry a local girl as a mistress and she'll look after the factory. Cheaper than finding a factory manager.
Thank you for the suggestion, sir.
But I know, they're Binit Agut dia sebelum this factory. I was worried that he might have foreign. My incredible honorary secretary one, OP Kiwi. I was wondering who is this Kiwi, but I think it is suntan skin. I know how that name came about. He's incredible. I mean, he holds 2 jobs. He's also the president of the TKC, Old Girls Association. Mention any TKC girls, oh, they know him. Sikit jambu dia. I tell you, he is where he is because of capability. His strategic thinking is incredible. A lot of people talk, they don't deliver. I need very easy. Like the second day I asked him to polish my shoe, he polishes my shoe. Well trained. And of course, my honorary treasurer, are you stepping down? No, no. He's with best spot. Every time we contact him somewhere overseas, together with my good friend, Dato' Robin Nalaringam. And it's through him also, I'm hoping to get a legacy fund, maybe to fulfill the dream of not only the Commandant, but also OP Nawawi here, who has been talking about this museum. So I like to work on the side. On the pledges for sports, already 20,000 in the bank. On the pledges to build an endowment fund for continuous ability to grant 2,000 ringgit each time. I think 1 million is in the bank, cruising towards 2 million. And that's the reason why I asked OP, Dato' Azam, who's here, Azam, please stand up, to say, can you give me a fund that will generate at least 3.2%? But your boys sent the report to the OPA via what they call email. That's what I tell you. I got it yesterday, and I'm very pleased to say that it's anything between 3.5 to 4.2%. But given the interest rate going down, I don't know. What Azam OP Azam doesn't know yet is, can you please waive your fees? And so the best interest you do is vote me out because the next president may agree to your fees. I'm driving a very hard bargain. Okay, so that's the way I work. And I believe also in also giving, but we can only it's only a limit. So I'm also very encouraged with crowdfunding. Right, this is something I'm not sure when we started. I kicked it off the Microton one. It's incredible, people are giving. And this OP Faiz me. It was only about halfway, and I was talking to someone who is very disappointed that he has given 3,000 and showed me the check. I said, don't worry, I guarantee it will hit 30,000. So semalam when I opened the check, the check group, it's going to hit 34.
Yeah.
So I text him back, I said, don't worry, I guarantee 35,000. And I hit 35,000 now.
42,000.
How much?
42.
Oh my God, can I hit 7,000? So anyway, once again, without them, I couldn't deliver what was delivered. I wish you all have a great day. Really appreciate your time for being here. And again, I'm grateful and thankful to be able to give back to the college that has given me so much. And in particular, the friendship that I have created, including my seniors who used to bully me. If there's any oversight or any error on my part, I ask for your forgiveness. But thank you very much again for listening to me. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, President. Mewakili some of the excos ni, kita terharu bila senior puji tu. Tak pernah kena puji dengan senior.
I need your vote.
Dia treasurer menangis tadi. Dia kata tak pernah. Dalam meeting kena bahasa ni, kena puji. So thank you so much, sir. I think you've covered a lot. And that's what a team that delivers, and that's what the results that you see. So moving on to agenda number 2, let's go through the confirmation and approval of the minutes of the last AGM. If you look at the booklet that you have with you, that's nicely printed, the annual report. So go to page number 9 onwards. So what I'll do, I'll just run through slowly, page by page. If there's any comments, please raise your hand and let us know. So if there's any requirement for us to take note on any amendments, we'll do that. Otherwise, at the end of it, let's have the minute accepted. So page 12, page 12. Page 13, page 14 is on the election and nomination of committee. Page 15 is on the honorary internal auditors. Page 18 we have the board of appeal and other matters. Page 18, the address of the commander. Last year there was a sharing by the commander, it was a very good sharing. If there's any discussion later that we want to talk about it, there's also time that we can spend to discuss that. And page 19, that's yours truly. Just to share, the adoption of technology nowadays, you have to adopt, otherwise you'll be left behind. So what we're doing for this AGM today, in particular, we've got a few recordings that AI is doing the transcript of the meeting, and immediately we can convert that into a minute. But we'll just make sure that the format is how we normally treat our minutes of meeting, but no, that is what we're doing now as well. And some of us are probably not here, this is our digital twin. Can we have a proposal to approve the minute and probably a second as well? Kalau jumpa my junior ada detail kan? Tak ada pula. Oh lama, itu senior sir. Senior.
What I said, the unit of meeting last year.
Taufik Azli, LMA 534. Saya hafal sir, saya hafal. LMA. Can we have a second note please?
Second.
Siapa? Mana? Oh tu. Sir please. Okay, thank you so much. So with that, the minutes of the last AGM is accepted. So moving on to the next agenda, there will be the presentation of the activities for the last term. So the last term ended in 11 July 2025. As you can go observe the screen, so I'll run through some of the activities that we did last year. The spirit of the activities that we did last year was curated based on maximum engagement with the general members. Because our members is quite diverse. We have very seniors to very young ones. So in us designing the engagement program that we have, we will make sure that we are able to touch every group of the member. Boleh tengok so siapa yang menghadap belakang ada TV kat belakang. Tapi all of you are facing in front of me. So introducing the team. So the last AGM, these were the ones nominated to office. Daripada first kali kena ikut Jojo Jojo, we got Faisal, we got our Jambu, and then we've got Rozaidi, Nick Rizal, Akmal, Farid, and Alistair. Okay, Alistair kurang hell. So ada Alistair ni ya? Ya, kalau Alistair, dia kata dia nak undi saya, dia nak datang. So dia kurang hell, kita sikit dia, tak apalah dia kena step down. So because of that, we co-opted Ken Lee. Ken Lee mana Ken Lee? Ken mana Ken?
Making tea
Ken sebab dia paling junior, kita suruh dia jaga air lah. So Ken is
DO.
So Ken is here. So this is the full committee. So we've got the whole team led by our president. The committee is also supported by OP Omar Sharif, who's the GM, and also our liaison with RMC is Colonel Rasli. Board of Appeal, probably round of applause to OPKJ. Ada OPKJ? Thank you sir. OP Raja Aziz. He's not around. And OP Chua tengah sibuk campaign.
No cases kan? No cases.
Tak ada cases. OP Chua ada Indian. Then we got honorary internal auditor that was also elected at the last two. Amirul, OP Amirul sir. OP Zainal. OP Zainal mana? OP Zainal kat luar, campaign. We got our board of trustee, no one that ada OP Syarudin.
Ya.
OP Bahar mana? OP Bahar sir. Campaign. OP Uncle Mohsen. Sir, thank you. Zainal ada. Ni OP Zainal, kita punya internal auditor. Saya call dia semalam 3 kali nak minta undi, tak angkat telefon.
Busy.
OP, we got the other section committee, we got ICOP, OP Radhi Syed Ahmad. And then we've got OP Goff, OP Faisal, and also OP Raja Ahmad Syarul, the emergency and disaster relief. The subcommittee that OP President mentioned in his speech, we've got all these 6 subcommittees, we've got members, we've got active discussion in our WhatsApp group. So these are the subcommittees. And biasalah bila our first exco meeting, the ones elected given a non-confirmation punya letter lah. Kalau tak perform tu ada gambar gambar dapat non-confirmation letter. Kalau dia tak perform, kita tak confirm lah. Setakat ni kebanyakannya dapat confirm lah. Itu yang dia orang datang hari ni. So ni kita post lah bagi nampak busy masa meeting kan. So ada juga bukti. But throughout the term we had 9 meetings 11 meetings. Attendance TikTok. Tapi gaya kan macam ni duduk macam real lah meeting atas kan. Padahal datang sekali tu tak payah sebut kan. So just like run through some pictures, memories of last year. So annually before we start the year, last year's annual dinner we always start with the tahlil. Last Thursday we had our tahlil as well. It was biasalah tahlil kita doakan untuk kawan-kawan kita yang tak sihat, kita dermakan Al-Fatihah kepada kawan-kawan kita yang nak menjalankan kita. So every year we are able to do this in remembrance of our members. AGM last year nampak ceria semua. 43 August, muka tak berapa serius sebab tak ada election, tengok semua okay. And then last year's dinner was quite cool. So tonight also will be the biggest dinner in recent time. We had to stop because we had 80 tables already fully booked. We still had inquiries for tables even the last few days, but we just had to stop because we have finalized the table. So it's going to be a really good dinner tonight. Opi Chua, I was told you'll be singing. So if there's anyone who decides not to come tonight because Chua nak nyanyi lah tu. Otherwise, I expect you to see all of you tonight. Oh, so tak ada apa. Ada siapa cakap apa-apa?
Ada orang sebut nama kan?
So we had the awards last year, OP of the year. We had the first merit award last year. We recognized the unsung hero. There were many among us who did very well, but we had the opportunity to, with the idea of ensuring that we are able to acknowledge all the heroes that we have among us. This year pun ada lagi so please come and support the merit award winners this tonight. We've got the sports personality as well. We'll have the same night as well, and we had our contributions to RMC. Last year we recorded that as well, and this year the treasurer will also share the contribution that we have for RMC. I was told that's one of the reasons why Commander is here. Okay, activities. It's been a very busy year, as what President mentioned. When we started our term, so we go into strategic planning to plan our year. There's so many things that we have. But we have regular activities that we have to lock into our calendar. The blessing of OPA, because it's a multiracial association, so we have few things fixed in the calendar. We've got our Hari Raya, our Easter, our Diwali, our Chinese New Year. So that's fixed. So that's 4 months already. And then we have to, in between that, we will curate programs to ensure there's consistent engagement with all our members. So this time around, I'll just run through month by month so that we see the activities that we've been doing in the last month. So, tak ada yang lopong lah, put it that way lah. So we start with the stroke and low back pain. So this was done in September 21st, 2024. So we had speakers Dr. Raja Mat Syarul and Dr. Kamalan. So that's my Form 5. So my Form 5 power tu tau. Satu, kita sebagai junior power lah. October, so we had our tea party. So in October, we welcome members who joined in last year. It was a special event just to immediately engage. So what we have also heard from members, jadi member lepas tu senyap je, bayar 500 senyap. Kan? Tak ada, kita dah bayar 500, kita dapat minum teh dengan curry puff, that's 500 worth. Okay kan? Okay lah. And then in October as well, we had our OPPP. So this year, we have our OPPP plan as well in September. So it's interesting. I keep on learning through the exposure that we have within our network. So an OP, and if you recall in the batch group, there was an OP from Decathlon was trying to reach out. Yeah, so in that group. So we immediately called and we had a meeting. Hey, how can we collaborate the OPE and Decathlon? So we had a meeting 2 weeks ago. So this time around, OPPP, Decathlon will be there to assist with carnivals throughout and promote their brand. So these are the things that we want to do because it puts our brand, OPA, at par with big brands like Decathlon. But they sponsor the biggest cycling team now in the world. And that's where we position our brand. So please come to OPPP, that's the thing. There's many more rooms that we will collaborate with Decathlon. We are also talking about downstairs because of the amazing reception that we got from the 25th building anniversary run. So we would not wait another 25 years to have the next event. Because of the request, we plan to have it at least twice, every 2 months at least, and Decathlon is willing to be our partner as well. Yeah. So amazing event. Commander, thank you for locking your time. Commander pun dah kata boleh menembak kan? Tahun ni kan? Komitmen. Tapi biasalah, all security measures kena layan. Nak register semua-semua. November, we had this one. This is the first ever, first ever intercompany golf, intercompany rugby. Amazing. So imagine every company, because it's an intercompany, so Alpha, semua. So every company came at least 30 to 40 players. So we've got about 40 kali 8 company. Berapa official? sorry. Nanti saya lanjut. You memang kan? Kali berapa tadi? Yes sir. Ada. Boleh jadi tu sir, boleh. Menang titik tu, okay boleh. Muntah kapten kan? Menang kan? Menang sir dengan TKC. Saya walaupun TKC separuh tapi menang tetap menang. Kan? So you have about 300, more than 300 players on the field, and that's just rugby. So amazing. We'll be doing this again this year because now this becomes a fixed calendar activity. Yeah, I was there, but luckily I didn't play because malah lah takut golf je menang every time orang kata alamak team HS1 je menang tu kita bagi peluang lah. Itu siapa menang Syed? Alpha sebab HS1 tak main. Okay, golf also, the OPA golf was also in November. So also impressive participation. Yang ini bukan intercompany ya, it was a good event. We had our Deepavali as well. Annually, every time without fail, we would have a fun time at the Deepavali event. Food is always great. We would have our chicken barufal. That one, we will never miss that in our menu. So, yeah. So December, another busy month. Basketball. Dapat baju. So basketball very interesting. No? When they first came to OPA a few years ago, they minta sponsor, and masa tu dia minta sponsor with the justification that last year they won the league. So with the winning tu, there will be good publicity, and how we approach it is very much a per capita approach. So they've got how many players, and then we will allocate funds from our accounts. So when we started sponsoring, tiba-tiba dia tak menang pula. So it begs the question though. Kan basketball sana, dia bowling. Kita bagi baju menang straight. TKC punya menang, MRSM punya pun menang kan? Macam tu baru kita kenal. So basketball ada dia punya captain kat sini. Mungkin kena buat post-mortem sikit lah Kalau tak menang, kita tarik bajet Then we had the FMC punya get together. This was 15 December. Another, this was a great event. We all went there. We continue to support, but amazingly, this is always organized by the FMC group. A round of applause for FMC. So kalau siapa dapat Datuk Nawawi akan dapat baju kuning. Saya dapat. Tak FMC tapi dapat. Saya thank you. Baju putih baru dapat nasi. Dapat. There was a post-mortem as usual. That's best practice after you conduct an event. There's a post-mortem, and we will always have it here. January, this is also another impressive event that was organized. This was 5th January. Boys pun datang penuh kat belakang tu. and they had a good conversation with the FMC. There was a very good sharing by a lot of the heroes from the FMC group. In January as well, we did a fundraising for Guy Warren Tazali. So he was the Guy Warren in the 90s, 80s. 80s. So we were able to raise fund and we were able to also assist as best as we could. We had a good workshop. This was in January. So the subcommittee which was established before that, we had a good meeting. Every subcommittee had their tasks discussed at length, and we had a good deliberation and alignment between what are the key things that we could do immediately, especially the low-hanging fruits. And some of the things that we can see today, as what President mentioned, is the setting up of the endowment fund is one key outcome that was recommended during the workshop, and we are very close to seeing the pledges reflected in our accounts. Just fine tuning a bit more of the governance and the framework. The recommendation and the review of the finance and accounts and tax was also deliberated and discussed here. That's why we are able to move forward and continue with our good governance and management of our accounts. In February, we had the first career talk. So this was OP Abdal. OP Abdal, our prayers are with him. He is not doing too well. I think he's unwell. A disease that we have yet to understand why. His father, OP Jack Allen, is also unwell. So our prayers, insyaAllah, kita sedekahkan Al-Fatihah, akan doakan yang terbaik supaya diberikan kesembuhan kepada OP kita ni. So many OPPTDs came, and there was a very good sharing from the OPPTDs to the OPs, because it was a reflection when we had that session. If you are a boy at the age of 16 and 17, would you even understand what a PTD officer does? And being boys, the only PTD you know is Parliament Tentera. And there was a good question as well from the floor. Dia tanya, because these people, masa ni, they were practicing the passing out parade. So it was post SPM. So dia tanya, nak ada PTD, kena ada degree apa? Because most people would understand that, being professionals, if you want to be engineer, you've got to have an engineering degree. If you want to be an accountant, you have to have an accounting degree. So the question that was asked, what degree do I need to have to be a PTD officer? So, and the answer that was given was quite clear, and this has provided guidance to them in what they want to do post SPM, and it would hopefully chart a good career for them. Because we continue to want to have pipeline of OPs in PTD, so that we are able to get at least our tax sorted out with the again. So we have our Chinese New Year, amazing host by OP Candy was given the Vatic semua who organized this. We had it at the Met. Then we had another career talk. This was the career path to medicine and accounting. Because it was very good that OP Commandant, when we discussed how do we fill up the time during the passing out parade, because malam they've got time. But this is post SPM, there's nothing else. So at night, some of us would come, we would discuss among the OPs, what topic can we bring and discuss. So there were many things that we discussed. Networking with OPA, and this is one of the topics as well. So medicine and accounting. Very good sharing. Alder was there, and a few was the Dr. OPs. This was another one. Immediately after that, during that same period, we had a father and son, a night of wisdom and generosity. OP Astaman and also his son, OP Arif. Arif also was my Form 5. Another reason why if senior bagus, junior dia is the show of the product of the senior. Another very insightful event. Because we thought that, the boys would thought that OP Astaman was an engineer, he was a businessman, he was a politician. We thought that he would talk about his background and his career. But it was the most interesting, the boys all got excited immediately after he stopped, because he said, everything else you would know because it's past my time. Past my time. Who am I to say that he an engineer because that's what the future is? It's past my time. But what I will tell you is that I was married at the age of 18. You people, next year, may be a husband already. So let me tell you how to be a good husband. But the topic of husband is because the husband is a leadership role. So that was how P. Asaman said. Because a strong family foundation comes from a strong leader who is the husband and the father. So that was the emphasis, and it was a very good sharing. So we will continue to have all this as well. Also to highlight, there was a bit of a reverse approach to P. Asaman punya talk. Because he said, I want to give 20,000 can I talk. So it's terbalik. Biasanya kita panggil speaker, kita bayar. Jadi dia kata, okay, I will want to donate, give me a speaking slot. So what my point is that if you want to come and give a visit to RMC, check kami ke mana. So okay, sir? Okay. Oh, mimpi kan? Ini, I juga kena buat. Ya, bagus. Siapa tak undi lagi ya? Tapi my campaign masih jalan lagi. Apa tu? Oh ya, okey. Dah ada keputusan.
Sorry to interrupt. I set my timer 15 minutes before the election close, but now it's 20 minutes. Because if we can take a few minutes break for all of those inside who haven't voted, we can cast the votes.
Boleh.
Please, those who haven't cast your vote, please do so now. We will pause the meeting for a short while.
So, you sambung apa ni?
Aku sambung dengan music. Okay, please cast your votes. We will take a short break about few minutes for you to cast your votes. So that after 11 you can start counting.